This board is waterproof, has urethane rails, is pretty indestructible, and costs about $300. And this is probably the last of its kind. So I'm actually a bit ill as I make this video. Fortunately, the flu can't be transmitted over video. Or maybe it is, you never know how people get infected these days. But allow me to tell you a couple things about this board. So recently got it, set it up. I have locked on front, dark matter in the rear. I'm riding Rogue slalom trucks in the front, double pink with a white insert. In the back, pink roadside and green roadside with a 5-degree wedge. And with the wedging that this board has, that makes the front 53 and the back 23. The board naturally has 3 degrees of wedging in the front and 8 degrees of wedging in the back. So a couple of things I like about this board off the jump. I like the wedging. It gives you a lot of adjustability and you can really play around with it. I think that's cool. Also dope that it's built into the flash mounting. I fucking love the design. I think this is one of the best looking boards that are out there. And I also like how the design goes over the wheel wells. Like they made the board, then they added the design layer or whatever. Also like that it's protected by, I think, a layer of fiberglass. And I feel like the more you ride this board, the more scratches and imperfections or whatever it gets, more wear and tear, the graphic is going to look even better. This is definitely a board that, you know, after a long time of riding, I'm going to hang it up. Also, I like the design focus on durability. I think like once you find a board you really like, that's all you really want to ride and you want to ride it forever. So I like that. But the cost is quite steep. But if you're 100% sure this board is right for you, then, you know, you're stoked, I guess. Unfortunately, you do have to deal with wedge risers if you don't want the wedging built in with the board. However, I think most people are going to be okay with that. I think most people have very healthy wedge riser collections, or even if they don't, I mean, if you're spending $300 on a board, you can spend another 10 on some risers. So there are actually two ways of setting this board up. You can set it with like totally negating the wedge in the back with an 8-degree D-wedge or whatever, and that will give you the back that acts like a torque block, and this is really fun. That's how I have mine set up actually. Or you can totally like just not put any riser here, and then you'll have a board with a bit of wedge in the back. It'll work like that one rocket board that has like a little bit of dip at the back, and personally that's not my thing, but I will experiment with that later on. And yeah. Another cool thing about this board is that it actually has dampening flex, which means it has a little bit of bounce to it. It doesn't have any longitudinal flex, don't be confused. Bouncing flex is like this, torsional flex is like this, you know. Allows each truck to do its own thing, which is bad, but it has dampening flex. I'm quite enjoying the dampening flex quite a bit. It hasn't affected my riding experience negatively at all. I'm still taking great lines. I can still feel very distinctly the edge of traction on my wheels. And on rough roads, it's definitely a lot more comfortable, especially compared to super rigid boards like the Landiat Small Blind or the El Peligro. You know, those boards are super stiff and they reflect a lot of road vibration in comparison. I've already seen online that a handful of people don't like this, but I strongly believe because it hasn't really affected my riding experience negatively at all, and the fact that I only noticed it after my friends pointed out when I was jumping on the board that it's there, I don't think for the majority of people it's going to affect the riding experience. I think most people will be okay with it. In terms of actually riding this board, I feel insanely at home on it. Coming off the Rocket Rhino, which also has like a similar situation with like a little bit of like a micro drop, really mellow, long micro drop. That's very similar feeling to this. I honestly stepped on this board, only took like 2 warm-up laps, and I was like shredding it pretty hard. Like I took some of the best laps down my local road. Yeah, like some of the best that I have in a long time, and it was on a totally new board, so that's really saying something. And for the 2 sessions I've had it, it just feels like really, really good. I did think I'd be more hung up on the taper, but with where my foot is positioned at the moment, at the front, I feel like I have enough leverage over my wheels. I think this will change when I do try wider wheels. So maybe that's something they can mess about with in the coming whatevers. I don't know, man. But it's Andy Atch's pro model. It works for him, and it's working fine for me. I'm taking good lines, so I don't know. More than that, this is actually not a proper review. I'm just giving you my first thoughts. So, let me work on getting a conclusive thingy on that bit of information. But yeah, even though I've only had it a few days and only had 2 proper sessions with it, this is already definitely one of my favorite boats in my collection. I can already see myself taking it out to bigger hills and prioritizing riding it over different boards. Thank you, Pantheon, for sending me this to check out. Also, Pantheon will be discontinuing this construction because of various reasons. Maybe Pantheon can comment in the description, let us know what's up. They'll be trying something new. So if you see this at your shop, your local shop, Flatsport, Muirskate, wherever, grab it. It's sick. It's gonna last you a long time, and it's even if you don't end up skating it all that much, I think it's great to hang on your wall. And yeah, I hope for whichever design iteration they go for, it'll just be as durable and it'll have a graphic just as sick as this. And yeah, shout out Eddie, I forget his second name, but yeah, this graphic is amazing. Anyway, thanks for watching, guys. Wish you guys a Merry Christmas, and I'll chat to you all very soon.